welcome to the next episode of Random Stuff Studios podcast. We got Joey in the house today.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Yeah. Make sure to check him out on Spotify and YouTube and all that. He's releasing a song for 52 weeks straight every Friday. You want to tell him about your song this Friday?
Yeah, the song's called Summer in Provo. It's inspired by dating, the dating scene in Utah, the fickle dating scene, you know? So, yeah, it's a good little vibe. One verse song about dating, and she's single today, engaged next week, married in 2 weeks. So, that type of thing, you know?
All right, and we also have another thing. It's Tony's birthday today.
Let's go!
Happy birthday!
Here's his dog bag present.
I don't even want to know what
Alright, let's see. Okay. The squeezy globs. There you go.
Oh, open it up.
Why is this so like slimy?
Show what's up. It's not slimy.
Alright, there you go.
Thank you, Damon.
There we go. Alright, like we told you last week, there is an extra segment today. It's the special guest segment. Joey Braxton is the special guest.
Alright, thank you.
We have some questions for him.
Alright, I'm ready.
And Toby, if you ever think of a question, just ask away.
Sounds good.
So, my first one's, how did your early life experiences shape your aspirations and career choices?
Early life aspirations. Alright. Early life aspirations in my recent song, talked about law school dreams, you know, inspired by Steve Young, the quarterback. Early, I wanted to go to law school, and going to college and wanting to pursue law school brought me to Utah, and it's kind of weird, you know. Yeah. But when I wanted to go to law school, I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer. So I wanted to do contract law. I thought, okay, you know what? I want to get into the sport. I want to be a sports agent, sports law. Oh. And then in college, I got an internship, interning for a major record label. And then I found a way to get experience what I wanted to do, and that brought me into learning marketing, public relations, all these things, and that brought me into music. Oh, nice. Learning the business side and then the artistry side. But as an entrepreneur, I am outside of music, learning how big companies work, you know, taught me how to be an entrepreneur. You know, it's all starts with an idea, a startup, you know, and you just continue working and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, through trials, through failures, but, you know, it's part of the game.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything? Any questions yet?
When did you start your music career?
Started when I was in college. You know, I used to go by Joey Fresh. I was a frat boy. I was in a fraternity, but I was like a frat boy. Frat rap was big in the 2010s, 20-teens, you know, and it was just like, you know, you rap, college rap, you know, you rap about what your life is in your 20s, you know, what college is like, books, they call it backpack rap. So a lot of my flow is just like, you know, rapping about like stuff I've experienced or like different story tales, different stories that maybe my peers experienced. So yeah, college definitely brought me into the music scene.
All right, and can you recall a specific moment or event that set you on the path where you are today?
Moving to the great state of Utah, that brought me to the path I was on today. And the crazy thing about it was I wanted to find a new place to experience in life. I was looking at Houston, Dallas, Denver, and one of my peers told me about Utah. I'm like, what's in Utah besides, you know, the Jazz, BYU, the Utes, and a lot of LDS people? I'm like, what else is in Utah? I said, no, just think about it. So just thought about it, prayed, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I packed everything up. Second I saw Denver was my first time seeing mountains for the first time. Like
Dang.
huge. Like when you leave Denver, going westbound, like huge, all the Rocky Mountains. And when I got to Utah, I was like, wow, this is the place. Like no pun intended, but this is the place. And I'm like, it was just cool. It fit my vibe. But moving to Provo was just a random thing, and that really it gave me that point, like this is like where I need to be in life in terms of like the balance, which isn't common from Atlanta,
For sure. Do you have any more questions, or should I keep going?
You should keep going.
Keep going.
Were there any influential people or mentors who guided you during the early stages of your journey?
I would say my family, my parents, my sisters, my college advisor. She really helped me in terms of expanding your mind, expanding how you view the world, how you view where you live, and being open-minded to change. And then, the biggest. What was the question again?
Any mentors or influential people?
I would say one of the biggest mentors, was one of my friends out here, and he just put me on a lot of information on just how people operate. Living on the East Coast, it's kind of like, all right, it's just New York, it's just from the Atlantic coast, the big cities, and you might have Texas and the Midwest, and then you have like LA, you have the West Coast, but this Mountain West is kind of like forgotten. He said that sometimes you have to go explore, you have to be a pioneer, and pioneering is not something that just happened in the 1800s. Every day you can be a pioneer, and you can find a place, a job, a craft, a trade that can bring joy or bring balance or bring a harvest into your life, prosperity, and abundance. And so yes, he was generational pioneer, but just hearing that term, like, all right, that's, it's cool to hear. Yeah. Cool to process, every day you could be a pioneer.
Yeah, for sure. Could you share a particular moment that you consider a turning point in your life? It could be a child memory or anything.
A turning point in my life was, it's weird, I don't want to put all this stuff to Utah, but a huge turning point was when I first came here. I was driving around, this Provo, whatever. Before I even moved into where I was moving, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in this cool new place. And I saw these two little girls, maybe about 8 to 10 years old. They had a lemonade stand. I'm like, is this Photoshop? This is not real. This is stuff that you see on the Disney Channel, Hallmark, And then it was they had their setup shop, selling lemonade, 50 cents. And I was like, all right, got some cash on. I said, let me get 2 lemonades, keep the change, I gave her advice. She's like, it's only $1. I'm like, no, keep it, but just seeing this little girl being so I don't want to take more than what I'm charging you. I'm like, wow. And I mean, yes, she fully accepted it, but just seeing wow, there's these 2 group of girls, young girls, learning about the entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm like, that was my first time being like, all right, I'm on the right path of being an entrepreneur, but learning from children, but seeing them do it at 8, 10, I'm like, wow. So that was cool to see, I don't know, I mean, it may not be common out here, but I mean, to me, it was weird seeing that, wow, these girls selling lemonade.
It's definitely more common here in Utah than it is anywhere else, for sure. Were there challenges or setbacks that in hindsight played a crucial role in your personal development?
I would say one of the setbacks is being open to failure and open to succeed. It's like a gift and a curse, So at a young age, I tried a lot of things. Some stuff I got good at, didn't get good at, you know. But I was always taught the aspect like, oh, you know, like it's either you do it and you do it not to fail.
I'm gonna ask to pop out for a minute. He said he'll be back.
Are you good? We can pause it real quick. We can hit stop.
Yeah, we can pause it really quick
Yeah.
if you want.
And we can hit stop. Yeah, the recording.
There's a pause right there.
Quinn said, "Yo, something popped up and I had to go for a minute."
All right.
Okay, well, maybe do we stop or do we just keep going? Cody, what do you think?
We guess we can keep going.
Okay.
Okay. So that question again. Sorry, I was waiting for Big Finn to pull up, but the question just
It was the challenges in hindsight one.
Yeah, the challenges, you know, in hindsight is just like you have to be open to seek success, and what comes with success, you have to be able to understand and face failure, you know, and it's still an inverse too. Like if you experience failure, whether you know you bombed a test, you know, you were late for work one day, you lost a job or had a setback or something that you weren't even in control of, you know, you have to understand, okay, well, like, how can I use this as a way to, as a lesson, as a learning lesson to, like, you know, move in a forward or positive direction. So
that's a good way to put it.
You know, like to me, like, you know, moving here, people are like, oh, where were Utah? You're crazy. And that can, I guess, segue into it where like people think you're crazy coming here, so it looks like it's a failure. But hindsight 20, you gain so much, so it's a win.
Yeah. What activities or hobbies bring you the most joy and fulfillment outside of your professional life?
So I would say the hobbies that bring a lot of joy to me is just being outdoors. You know, I learned to appreciate, you know, going to college, living in the big cities, or big suburban areas that, you know, I find peace, like, you know, the mountains or the beaches, like, you know, just enjoying like the beach, hearing the ambiance, hearing the river, the animals outside, the white noise, I would say, you know, and just that, and being a fly on the wall brings me peace, like just observing people, you know, going to a place not knowing anybody, like let's say you're going to you go to a basketball game, right? You don't know anybody, but you're just observing people, or you go to like someone's family function, like say it's public, you're just observing people and see how they interact, and you know that brings me joy because I like to be around wholesomeness, you know, being able to like even if you're just observing it. So whether it's outdoors or people, I just like, you know, calmness brings a lot of peace.
That's good. How do you balance your work life with your personal interests and passions?
Ooh, how do I find the balance? How I find balance is really finding the right environment to live in. So moving back to Utah is a reason why, because, you know, we work from home. We have an online toy store, and it takes probably 60 hours a week to operate, you know, your self-owned business. So like it takes a lot of man hours to operate a business with maybe like 2 employees, you know, whether it's packing, shipping, processing orders, getting back to customers, doing stuff on the computer. So it's like, you know, balancing like other aspects of life. Like, okay, if I can do this and I have an allotted 3 hours of free time maybe every day, right? Let's say 20 hours of free time every week, right? How do I choose to use those 20 hours of free time? So it's kind of like, you know, for me, living in an environment where you can do that, you know, like going to, like seeing us at the BYU games, like I can do that on my time because it doesn't take time away from my work, you know, but you have to like pretty much balance, like, how are you going to spend your time? Because I can use those 20 hours and not have any sort of fulfillment, you know? So you can sleep, you know, I can sleep in for hours and then, oh, there's my 20 hours. It's gone, you know? So the balance for me is like, you know, for me, I'm an environmental person. I have to live in an area where I can find balance, whether it's things to do or it's people, you know? Because like, you know, running and operating a business, that takes a lot of time. But I'm in Utah, and it's one of the top places to run a business.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you tell them what your toy business is?
The toy business, it is called Boba Fett Fresh. It's been operating for about 3-4 years. Opened up during the pandemic, I would say. We had a business before that. We had a online vintage sports apparel business, you know. So we have Boba Fett Fresh. You know, we sell mainly on the store called Macari, and we do a lot of the website called Macari. Do a lot of sales online, private sales. So we specialize in Star Wars stuff, GI Joe stuff, a lot of stuff with Hasbro. We order a lot of stuff from Hasbro, the toy company, and Balaverse. So yeah, we do a lot of stuff like that. You know.
All right. Let's see. What was one of the most challenging situations you faced, and how did you navigate through it?
I would say one of the most challenging things that I faced was being committed to some sort of goal or some sort of idea, agenda, task, you know, because for me it's like one of my biggest things I'm working on is being like, hey, I'm gonna be committed to doing X, Y, and Z, and not being scatterminded or scatterbrained. So
yeah.
So to me, it's like, you know, I realized like the biggest challenge is like for me, it's being committed, but then like either getting too overly committed where it's distracting, you know, you don't have a balance, or you get committed to a fault where you know what, I'm just gonna take my gas off the pedal, and then if you just would have kept on going, that commitment would have led to the next door, the next chapter.
Yeah.
So learning from that was seeing that, you know, being committed to, like, when I moved here, I'm like, you know what, the first time and this time, it's like, hey, I want to be committed in being a balanced person and, you know, having a balanced life. And a lot of people think, oh, having a balanced life is so easy. It's not when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur, but anything in life, whether you're married with kids, whatever, like a balanced life, there's no book saying how can you have a balanced life.
Yeah, you gotta figure that out yourself.
You know, so for me, it's like being committed to, hey, like, I want to be committed to a balanced life, not just work. And that took me, the biggest challenge in life I've had in my life is understanding the aspect of you can't be just married to your job.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been married to my job as an entrepreneur for the past 4 years. Great income, great, but all I can say is like I just work. You know what I mean? Like you know, and when the pandemic came, I had more of a reason to be like, oh, let me just work. You know, I'm at home. Let me not really be on social media and just work. And not right now. It's 2023. I'm like, man, like, what did I do in those 3 years? Work. So now it's just having the balance. Like, hey, I want be amongst more people. You know?
Yeah.
There's more to life than just being on a computer and just printing out stamps and typing orders and ordering inventory. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Can you share a moment of triumph or success that stands out as a significant accomplishment?
Okay. I would say that stands out. That's a good question. I would say that when early in so I was born in California, lived there for 5 years, my parents moved to Florida. So in and I haven't seen California for tons of years. I'd never seen it ever in my adult life. And then so, you know, in my early music career, you know, I had a few meetings out west in LA with record labels, and I was on a press run, a tour. And then all that success, it was cool on paper. It was cool. Like, wow, I'm in LA. I'm on tour, all this stuff. I'm meeting record labels. I'm doing interviews. But the coolest thing of success was like, wow, music brought me to my birth state that I've never seen in my adult life. So when I first got to California, within the first like a few days, I said the first thing I want to see, like when I had the free time, was I want to take an Uber to Malibu. I want to go to Pepperdine, and I want to see the Pacific Ocean. A sunset in Malibu over the Pacific. So that was like the biggest moment for me. Like, I made it. Not in terms of career-wise, like I've achieved a goal that I never thought I would achieve, but me taking a risk brought me to here. Just seeing that sunset, I'm like, wow, at that time it was like growing up, like my dream, college was going to, I was looking at, Pepperdine, Pepperdine Law, I was looking at BYU Law, I was looking at Baylor Law, but I was like, I'm in LA. I don't care about Hollywood. I don't care about the Walk of Fame. Take me to Malibu. Take me to Pepperdine. I want to see the sunset. And I went on campus too. It was pretty cool. They had me speak in the law classroom, like just randomly. I wasn't even like booked. I'm like, why are you here, man? I just shared my story, and it was just like seeing that in person. It's like when you see things that you aspire for in person, that's like a coming of like, wow, I did this. Wow. I mean, it's just California, but to me it was like, wow, I haven't seen this state since I was 5. Yeah. And at that time, like, man, I'm 27. I'm like, I haven't seen the state in 22 years.
Yeah, Taylor Swift 22.
22. I was Swiftie getting there, and I was seeing the sunset. Like that was magical. Seeing the sunset over the Pacific. I'm not sure if you two have seen it before, but
I don't think so.
Okay, but it's something to see.
I've been to California once, and I don't remember a lot of it.
Okay, but that's the one thing. Wasn't even planned, but thank you for asking that question.
Yeah. How have challenges shaped your resilience and your determination in pursuing your goals in your personal life?
Challenges. I would say to answer that question, the first thing is this. I didn't know how to I knew that you can keep on moving forward, but not in a way like, how can you overcome a challenge? It's not just, when I moved here, someone told me this thing where I don't know if it's a quote, if it's from the Bible or if it's like some leadership quote, but it was like, every trial is a blessing and every blessing is a trial. And, and I meet all these people, like this one dude that told me that, he was like an OG. He was like, hey, I had 8 kids. I went to school, did all this stuff, got married young. I'm like, how can you do that? I mean, from my world, I was like, how can you do that? Because in my world, it was, people weren't doing that till the age of 30, 31, 30. Like in Atlanta, people were not getting married. Women were not getting married till 32.
Oh, wow.
Men till 31. It was like, I came up in that era. So now when I talk to these different people, I was hearing their stories. I'm like, okay, wow, well, if you can do all this, and I'm not married, I have no kids, I'm like, what's stopping me? So like hearing these different stories helped me deal with challenge, where it's like, how can you find adversity? How can you find perseverance?
Yeah.
So me, I like to find it through other people, hear their narratives and see how I can insert my narrative in it, So I'm more of a person where I'm a sponge, right? I like to absorb, information. So moving here, it was just an aspect. I met a lot of positive people where they were open to share their narratives, their truths, and and their adversities. So that really keeps me like balanced to follow the compass. Hey, just stick to it, follow the course.
Yeah. All right. Who are the individuals you look up to as role models, and how have they influenced your values or mindset?
My biggest role model, outside of family. So my family, my sister, my dad, my mom, my younger sister, they are, they've inspired me so many ways. So like, just, stay focused, persevere, have adversity. But my biggest like role model, which is weird, I have a man crush on Mitt Romney.
Nice.
Not as a politician, because what he represents to me. A family man, a grandfather, freaking a very educated man, but he served. He still serves, whether it's people or his family or communities or constituents. So I read one of his books, and like when I was in college, I gravitated to him. And I had no ties to Utah. I just gravitated to it. It's like, oh, man, this guy got like kids, like just his conviction. So Mitt Romney is probably like my favorite. He's like a role. If I ever had a chance to meet him, I would tell him, hey, like I have a man crush on Mitt. Like you've inspired me, and in ways to just be a balanced human being. I'm not saying he's like, I don't think he's trying to be a role model, or inspirational force. But to me, just him being a family man. I grew up, in a small family. My dad was a family man, and so just seeing like someone can have like be married and be a grandparent, and have all these kids, and still freaking like he was a governor at one point. He's a senator right now. Business owner, startup business. He was an attorney. Went to law school. Got his business MBA while having kids. So I'm like, how can someone do that? So like, that's one of my. I strive in time. Like when I'm a father, or I want to be like a family guy like that, where it's like, hey, when I'm in my 60s, I'm like, I'm just as cool, but you have like a legacy, you have kids, you have grandkids or great grandkids, so yeah, Mitt Romney is one of my biggest inspirations as a family man, which is random, but yeah. You know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say something, so we might know who he is.
Yeah. Have you ever had the opportunity to meet or connect with someone you admire? And what was that experience like if it happened?
Yes, I would say one of the opportunities that I had, that's happened many times in my life. It's weird. Like in college, I met certain, like, at the time I studied political science. I was a big political, oh my gosh, this politician, so I met a lot of people in college that, oh my gosh, this person. But music helped me meet a lot of like, people. So I met like, some of my favorite artists, I met them, and I realized like, wait, I don't really like them. Like once I met them, I don't really like them, I met a lot of like, athletes. So one of the coolest things I've done, I would say people I met, was I met Karl Malone randomly. That was through his wife, and it was because of a song, so that was pretty cool, and they really helped, further, kickstart, my career. So I always got to give them shout out, give them love. But in terms of someone I've met, I can't really say like there's someone I've met where I'm like, this is like someone I really like envisioned meeting. So it hasn't. I met a lot of people that like you think, oh cool, like I'd like to meet so and so, right? And it happens, but it was kind of like, oh, I would like to, not like I really want to meet so and so. So I haven't had that I really want to meet so and so moment yet.
Alright, let's get Mitt Romney over here. Huh?
Yeah. Hey, I'm on the podcast. But yeah, no, I haven't. I met a lot of great people. So like to me, it's. I like to remove the name, the celebrity, the status out of the equation. So like to me, I like meeting people that can like share wisdom or positivity. So like to me, like that's like this last weekend at leaving the Utah Ute game, we were walking back to where we parked, and there was this older gentleman, Utah Ute fan, probably like in his 60s, and him and I talked on the way back to the car. He told us like which route to take, he's like a retired attorney. He just had his 50-year mission reunion with his like companions. He was sharing me that story. But like what like I asked him, hey, what do you recommend? Some X, Y, and Z. But he shared with me some great knowledge. And like to me, like when you meet people like that, that's like that was meant to be. You didn't plan it, but you gained, you learned. So like to me, it's more focused on that. Like the stuff that people you're not trying to meet or not trying to expect will share you a gem that you needed to hear in that moment.
Okay. Are there any specific daily habits or routines that you believe contribute to your
productivity?
Yeah, there we go. And well-being.
Well-being, yes. I would say one thing that helps me is words of affirmation. Like telling yourself positive things. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this today. It be something so small, like me, I'm gonna wake up today. I'm like, you know what? It's a beautiful day. It might be snowing outside, but I'm gonna wake up today. It's a beautiful day today. So affirmations that really keeps me going. And like I said before, I'm a very environmental person. So living in Utah is like a huge affirmation for me. Like in terms of just like I can like where I live downtown, it's like I see Delta Center here, but I can look out and see the mountains, but look, I see the temple and the Capitol. So like for me, I like seeing things that like remind me of like, hey, like keep doing it, keep stay balanced, or like things that could check me too, like hey, like don't deviate this way, don't deviate that way. So I like just being able to like see things every day, like like to me this year I went to every BYU football game, but the game was one thing, but the people were the thing that made the experience. So that's the thing where it's like if I'm not around that, this is what's weird. Like this Fizz, for example, like when I lived out east, I was missing all these things that only exist in Utah, which is weird. And I'm like, why did I miss these things? It wasn't the item, it was what it represents. Yeah. So to me, like being in Utah, like just the whole hub, the people, the things, like it adds balance to my life. So every day whether I buy something that's Utah or not, living here, it contributes to that balance. Where it's like, cool, great, like every day that pushes me towards my my goals and being more productive. It's a balance. When I didn't have it, I was very productive. I had no balance.
Yeah. Okay. How do you structure your day to maintain a healthy work-life balance? Do you have a morning routine? Well, you just said your morning routine.
Oh, with the affirmations, yeah. I would say I'm still in the process of carving that balance. The routine. This is probably the first time actually like working towards having a balanced life. So that's like usually what I do every morning is wake up, look outside, go to the computer, print out stamps, process orders, do all like the 2-hour logistical things, for the business. But now before I do that, now it's kind of like, quote unquote, like going outside and smelling the roses, like whatever the roses are, it's kind of like, all right, finding a way to like to me, I'll walk upstairs, I'll go to the top floor and look at the mountain. Oh wow! So sometimes it's just or feel just the cold air. Sit and go outside. Damn, it's cold outside. Like all right, that woke me up. But the main thing is like just like my girlfriend and I, we're a team. So every day when we wake up, like say she has to go to her nannying job or whatever, or her nannying gig, is we make sure that we have breakfast together. And our breakfast isn't like a main course, like we juice, so it's like, hey, we had a juice together, So it's just like, teamwork, right? Yeah. Like not knowing that, okay, cool, great, I said bye to you, or good morning to you, and I can start my day.
Yeah.
So stuff like that.
That's good. What are some items on your bucket list that you're most excited about accomplishing?
Okay, one item on my bucket list I'm really excited to accomplish is outside of like I want to release a song every week. That's to build consistency, But the main thing on my bucket list, I enjoy meeting and talking and meeting people. You know, like the past years, like when I say I was like off the grid, I literally was like in and like, you know, off and on off the grid, you know? So it's like, you know, for me, like one of my biggest goals I look forward to on my bucket list is like being consistent with people, you know? Knowing that you can't, no man is an island, you know? Like, it's weird. I never was that kind of person, but like the further you deviate away from people, the more like you can be very reclusive, you know, or secluded. So like my biggest goal for me this year is, or for next year, is just to be balanced. I'm ending the year balanced, and I'm ready to like, you know, fine tune it and start next year just as balanced. So that's my main bucket list thing, is having a balanced life, you know, and being around great people like you two, you know, like, I mean, I'm not trying to keep on tooting Utah's horn, you know, but you know, not every place is this magical, you know, like where there's balanced people, and, you know, like, even if like you, like, you know, you may not be living the way they're living in terms of, like, you know, like, I don't, like, I respect you, you know, you're young, you know, you're married, you know, whatever that took you to get to that point, I respect that, you know, you're young, you know, and you know, you're in that point, you're like, hey, you know, I know what I want to do in life, but I know I want to do this first, you know, you feel prompted, hey, I want to fulfill or serve a mission, so you're doing something like, wow, I can respect that, you know. It's like, for me, I'm in my 30s, and one thing I'm really big on is, my big bucket list goal is to learn from the younger generation, because I believe that, you know, I learn from people that are older than me, my age, but I want to learn from, you know, like what's current, you know, what's new. I don't want to be a dinosaur. Yeah. I want to be like up to date with like, hey, you know, like what can I learn from the younger people? You know, not saying I'm old. I'm just saying, like, I just like the exchange of balanced information.
Okay. Can you share a specific goal or dream that holds a special significance to you?
I would say a dream for me, a specific goal, you know, and very few people know this goal, you know, or in terms of what, like, the symbolism, or like what it, like, how important it is to me, you know. It's like I can have all like the millions, I can have all this money or all these worldly things, you know. But like, thing that really I want to achieve in life is like, you know, I want to achieve my goal to be like, hey, you know what? I went to law school and graduated. You know, whether I practice law or not, you know, it's just after, hey, like, you know, like that's a goal of mine. Like, you know, 3-4 years from now, I was like, hey, you know, I did this, but it took me to do all these things to make that happen. I can work towards it now, but I won't be able to do things that I need to do right now to make it happen. So that would be one of the biggest things, and just biggest goal for me is, you know, one day to build a legacy out in Utah. Like, not sort of like oh, it's me, this is Joey statue or this table. It's like, just like, hey, like and when I was 27, I moved here. I did a pioneering thing, and I found the place that brings joy into my life. So for me, like, a life goal would be like, man, I want, when I have kids and they have kids, whether they're here in this state or not, be like, their father, their grandfather did this, move from that better life. So like, that's one thing I want to do. You know, like, I want people to see the great state of Utah. You know, like really see beyond the stuff that people like say, oh, I don't like living here because of these reasons. Like, look past that and look at what's really in the soil. Yeah. That's my life goal. You know, I want my future family to prosper in this state, you know. I'm not sure if you guys read New York Times or read the Forbes list, you know, or know about the state economy, but Utah is #1 state economy in the nation.
Let's go.
Number one.
There we go. How do you prioritize and plan to achieve the items on your bucket list?
I believe in term, iron sharpens iron. So for me, I just believe what's gonna help me achieve those goals, being around sharp people, better people, people that are strong. I know I'm strong in certain things, but people that are stronger in things that you could be strong in, or stronger in things that you have weakness in. You know. So like for me, it's just having I go back to balance, like just having a balanced life. You know. So for me, it's like, you know, it's not really like a financial balance or as an entrepreneur, like, you know, because there's always levels to growth. It's more of like, you know, emotional balance, spiritual balance, balance among, you know, your peers, people. So yeah, just being around balanced people is gonna help me get balance. You know, I could be around imbalanced people. If I'm already imbalanced, it's gonna help me become even more imbalanced.
Yeah.
So just being balanced.
All right. Are there specific books that have had a profound impact on your perspective or outlook on life?
Yes. Recent book I read once, but I've listened probably over 30 times this year. Audiobook. One of the books called Rich Dad Poor Dad. It just talks about like different narratives of how to think like financially, in terms of like how to live, like how to be like fiscally frugal on things, and like it's a great book about raising your financial IQ. But one book that really changed my life is called the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and it's by John C. Maxwell. Another book called I think it's called The Eighth Habit by Stephen Covey. I think he's from Utah, you know, the Covey Center. But books, I like self-help leadership books. You know, when I was in college, my minor was I minored in leadership. So, you take classes to get like a special certification, you know. But yeah, 21 Laws of Leadership really changed my life, because one of the first laws is this, called Law of the Lid. What that means is this: we all have like a lid. We all have a lid on things, right? Where do you set your lid? A lot of us set our lid. We set a lid on our own sort of potential, whatever it is, like, oh, confidence, whatever. I may not be able to do X, Y, and Z. How do we maximize that lid, or how do we remove the lid? That's like one of the first laws, Law of the Lid. And we all have it. It's just like, dang, I did not know that. How do we navigate through it? You know? And to me, what helps me navigate through that? Balance.
That's a good way to keep things going.
Yeah.
Can you share a movie or a piece of music that holds sentimental value or has inspired you?
Movie or music? Movie. That's a good question. Oh man, I can't. It's weird. I haven't watched. I mean, if I go back to like, I don't want to say like movies when I was a kid, like Jurassic Park. You know, like Star Wars. I'm like, oh man. That's a good question. What movie really inspired me? I don't know. A lot of stories inspire me, you know. But I would say, I guess, hey, the story of Luke Skywalker is pretty inspiring if you get a feel of it. You know, he didn't know he had these gifts. You know, didn't know his father was this dark Sith Lord. You know, but he had these gifts at a young age too, and Luke Skywalker just could show like, hey, you can pivot to this path or that path. You know, the story. You know, I didn't see that watching the movie. But in college, we read the book, we analyzed the book, you know, the symbolism. But movie now, song wise, I got the song. Let me see. It's an Enya song. You know what Enya is? Enya? Okay.
No.
Well, Enya's a singer. I think she's from Ireland, I believe. She has a song called Only Time. It's called Who Can Say Where the Road Goes, Where the Day Flows, Only Time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart chose, only time. And it's like, like all these things in the lyrics, like, like the only way you can see these things is only through time. you know, it's how you experience things only through time. So, but that's like, you know, as a kid, you know, you hear the song, you're like, oh, get older, you deal with life and you hear the lyrics mean something to you. So yeah, I'd say those. I mean, those kind of things. Movie, song, yeah. But yeah. How about you? Tough question. I'm like, having to like to really think about it. Like,
I was not expecting to get asked. I don't know. I guess. How do I say goodbye by Dean Lewis?
Okay.
Because I went through a rough patch. 2013 to 2020ish.
Okay.
My grandpa died, and I never said goodbye because I was too young to really. I was like, I didn't really think he was dead. Like, that was all not real, and so I never said goodbye. And I was even at his funeral, I wouldn't even say goodbye. I wouldn't even hold his hand or anything. I would just stay away and just not think it was real. So I never really say goodbye to him. So that's an inspiration for me to know. I need to face reality.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
My grandmother died the past over a year ago, 2022. And it was during, you know, pandemic and stuff, you know, and it was kind of the aspect where like, oh yeah, I'll see her again. You know, going back to your previous question, okay, now I can answer your question. A song that has helped me, there's this artist in Utah. Her name is Ashley Hess. She's a singer. She's on tour right now on this, like with a group of people. But she has this song. She's kind of like, she's a singer, country, and, alternative, like a pop. But she's a song called Yet. And like one part of the song is like, you know, like, don't give up on me yet. And that song helped me get through, like, you know, like my grandma dying. And it was like an aspect of like, you know, like, even though I couldn't say goodbye to you, I only, you know, I didn't see her in years, probably in a few years, you know, because of the pandemic. And she was in Atlanta, and I was at that time, I was in I think I was in Nashville at the time. It's still close, but like, you know, still far, you know, like, and it was just that song just helped me, like, you know, like, don't give up on anything yet. You know, even if the chips are down, like, you know, find a way to rise up, you know, like, and it was tough seeing that. I'm like, you know what, like, I knew my grandma wouldn't give up on me, you know, yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to make myself feel bad because I couldn't say bye to her. I couldn't see her one last time, you know, and that song really helped me find ways to just like stay strong, not give up, not lose hope, not lose faith, and just, you know, bounce back.
Yeah, those are two pretty similar songs, I think, because there's one verse of How Do I Say Goodbye? It says that you were always there for me even if I was wrong, or so something like that. We got 5 more questions in this segment.
Go.
Okay. How do your cultural preferences influence your creativity or decision making in your personal life, your professional life?
My cultural preferences?
Yeah.
As in, I prefer, like, what do you mean? Like, I prefer, like, this culture, like, for example, like, I would say my cultural preferences that, okay, so I like to be the B word again, balanced. So, cultural preferences, I like to absorb other cultures, like, not everything, just like, you know, like, learn some of how they operate, what are some of their traditions, and how can I like apply that and incorporate that in my life. So like for me, it's adopting certain like traditions, you know, helps me. Like living in Utah. Utah is its own tradition, you know, like it's its own. There's many states in the nation like that. Maybe there's few states that have their own personality. Yeah. Where you know, like, oh, Utah, okay, yeah, all right, I know what to expect, right? You know, like, oh, California, okay, I kind of know what to expect. Alabama, I know, but like, you know, like, when you think of like, you know, like Rhode Island, you don't know what to expect. I mean, it's New England, but like to what extent, you know? So for me, like, I would say, you know, I come from my family come from the culturally, it's you know, Spain, France and the Caribbean islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti. So like, but it's just like, blended. So culturally, I've always been open to like, I grew up in America, born in America. So it's like lived in Florida and so I grew up in Florida, went to college in Atlanta, moved to Utah. So to me, it's like, okay, like, I like to just culturally adopt different traditions that bring joy into my life and respect other people's traditions or preferences too. So it's like music wise, like as an entrepreneur, I would not know how to be a better entrepreneur if it wasn't adopting the principles that this state has to offer, because this state has a high spirit IQ of entrepreneurship. Like you'll see all these, like this is a startup company from years ago. Probably other stuff that you guys go to are like startups, So it's like whoever made that hat was probably a startup for Spider Mitchell, Yeah. So it's like, like living here, like adopting that culture is like, wow, like it's a different language. Like there's a different language spoken here, and it's like if you don't know how to speak it or understand it, you're not going to succeed. But if you know how to speak that language or understand it, you can succeed anywhere else in this nation.
Yeah.
So to me, just adopting, different tools of being successful.
Okay. Is there a particular life lesson you learned that you would like to pass on to others?
Mm-hmm. My life lesson I would say is really listen to whatever speaks to you on your inside. Whether you say it's spirit, whether you say it's your heart, prompting, really listen to that. Not saying, okay, it told me this, I'm gonna do that. But just like really reflect, take a seat back, and just listen to it. Whatever it is, and then just analyze it. If it's for something good, then or if it's like, hey, like don't do this because of this sort of fear, listen to it. Yeah. So that's like my best advice to tell people, like that little version of you that's inside telling you yes, I'm telling you no, like that's applying reasoning to you. Listen to it, or even it's just like not even it's innate. It's just like it's instinctual. Listen to it. Like when I came here the first time, I listened to some weird, like inside me, I'm like, it's saying go to Utah. I slept on it for like a week, but changed my life. All right, I'm doing this. Boom. So just listen to like that. Listen to whatever's prompting inside of you. Don't ignore it.
All right. Can you reflect on a mistake, challenge, or biggest failure that taught you something valuable about yourself?
I would say biggest mistake for me would be not choosing to have mentors, or not choosing to have people that have foresight, that or have experience. It's like it's like, oh, I can do everything on my own, So like to me, it's like you can, but a lot of things can be done easier with people that have the actual experience or the knowledge and sharing it with you. So I would say not having an actual like mentor, like family is one thing, but actual like like not having a mentor as in like whatever trade you're gonna be in or craft. Like that's one cool thing about here. A lot of people have mentors. Like their dad's friend or mom's friend might run a business, and that's a trade you might want to get into, and you might be able to learn from that person or individual like how they did it. So for me, it's like be open to seek a mentor, not be desperate, but be able to seek one.
All right. Yeah, just that one. Can you share a specific way in which you aim to positively impact the lives of others?
A specific way that I want to do right now, the point I'm at in my life outside of like my career path, like like I really want to paint a narrative as a musician. Like when I came here, moving to Utah the first time sparked me. Hey, I want to do music as an artist, not as like I represent artists. You know, so me now, I just want to put out like fun music. You know, that fit a certain like category, and it's not for everyone, but I want to just like release a lot of fun, positive music inspired by like trials, tribulations, sports that I like, the why, just like Utah, my experiences. So I want to share like a clean music journey, and if it connects with someone, cool, great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, But for me, it's like I want to make, hey, I got all this stuff that I can write, that I can do, and while I have the ability to do it, and it's balanced, I'm gonna just do it until you never know who it can impact, or how it can impact you. So me, musically, I want to just be like the most consistent I can be in terms of putting out great quality music and only getting better and better through practice.
Okay. This is my last question for you.
All right, let's go.
How do you align your daily actions with the long-term legacy you hope to leave behind?
It's gonna be a tough one for the last one.
I would say every day, my dad always told me every day when he gets out the bed and he puts both feet down on the floor and he prays for such a day. So that's the first thing he does. Prays for his family, his kids, whatever, First feet go down, pray, then I'm up. And then he'll stand up, And, that's one of the convo him and I had, last time I saw him about a year ago. And that's the mentality I want with living out here in my life, to leave a legacy. If I want to have that quote unquote Mitt Romney life when I'm in my 50s, 60s, 70s, it's, you can't get complacent. You have to have, 10 toes down. You have to be a go-getter. You have to be aggressive, but you have to know what are your non-negotiables. Like Mitt, for example, he said in his book, what helped him build his business up, his career path, was every Sunday was non-negotiable. So phone down, TV off, you can't call for any meetings. But that was time dedicated to his wife, his kids. Were this is the day we're not doing nothing besides family, So for me, that's what I want to focus on. Where it's hey, if I'm consistent doing this and I'm consistent striving to be a better individual, a better person, a more balanced person, I'm gonna get to that legacy where it's I made it in terms of I have kids. Even if it's one kid, I'm married, I have kids or grandkids, they have prosperity. I worked hard to guide them or help them or put them in a great situation. So it's legacy building, and you can't build it in one day. You can't build it in a lottery ticket. I bought a ticket, cool. All right, I got a shortcut. No, it takes time and it takes trial and error. So legacy for me is just building that family unit. That'll be the biggest legacy, where it's having a generation, I have kids, or second generation, So that's the thing, yeah. But that wasn't a plan for me prior to here. So something's in the air, but it's just what's more important to you. So every day just working hard. Sorry, I used the restroom just now. So, but I would say just every day making sure that your feet are planted and you're moving towards a direction. Meeting you two individuals is an example of me cool, I'm doing something right. I'm meeting I'm meeting great people, and it's only gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Alright, any more questions for him, Tommy? Alright, now we get to the normal segments. Alright, so we're going to start out with the basketball segment like usual. We're going to start with the Utah Jazz, who are 12th in the West Conference, 8-16. We had him research some things, so if you want to talk to him about what you researched while we decide to play the game.
Alright, here we go. So Utah Jazz.
Chris not sure. He's coming back.
All right, so I gotta say, Lowry is looking great right now. 22.7 points a game, 8.6 rebounds a game. I kind of thought he was gonna do well this year because Gobert not being there a year after, Mitchell, like all these trades, Danny Ainge basically blew up the team and they're in this rebuilding process. I expected Lowry to do these things, but not this consistent.
Yeah.
Win, lose, or draw, and he's still being he's playing team ball. So I'm surprised that he's a quiet rising star.
Yeah.
The finisher. So.
Yeah. On Friday, December 8th, Utah Jazz lost to the LA Clippers 117-103. Monday, December 11th, they were at Oklahoma City, lost 134-120. And yesterday, December 13th, they beat New York at home 117-13. What the freak? Yeah, what's your player of the game, Toby?
I want to go with Colin. He did, where is it? 30 minutes, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 26 points. He balled out that game.
Oh, nice. My player of the game is gonna be marketing. Like Joey said, Martin's been balling out, man. He scored 23 points. He got 2 personal fouls, 8 rebounds, 7 defense rebounds, and 25 minutes. Good game by Markkinen. Good win. Jazz are on their first winning streak since this podcast started. 1 game winning streak. Let's go. All right. So yeah, that's the Jazz. Utah women's basketball. They're number 11 in the country still. They're 8-2, second in the Pac-12. Why don't you tell them what you researched about them?
All right, so in case you just said 11th in the nation.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know, Pili, I'm not sure what her name is, but she's averaging 24.6 points a game. Yeah. That is really good in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They're getting the team's looking good. They have 3 players on the team. One's averaging 24.6, one's 17.8, one's 14.0. So they're getting, and the other ones are 9.1, 6.9, 8.7 off the bench. They're playing team ball, and they're beating teams. They're playing good teams, and I think the women's basketball, the running Utes, I think that they're a team that are not being talked about in women college sports right now. But I think as March Madness, as we get closer to next year, they're still in conference place. But as we see, where their standings are in the conference as it continues, if they're still in the top 10, they're a team to beat.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a player that's gonna do some damage. Yeah.
On Thursday, December 7th, our last podcast day, they were at St. Joseph's and won 74-48. And then on Sunday, December 10th, unfortunately they lost, but they kept it close to number 1 South Carolina. They lost by 9 points, and so they kept it pretty close against the number 1 team in the country. Chloe, what's your player again for that one?
I'm going to have to go with Philly, or however you say her last name.
Mm-hmm.
She got 29 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 37 points that game against South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's almost half.
Yeah. If you'll pull up, I can pick mine.
Go Young.
Yeah, my player of the game for this one would be Young. 12 points. And 6 rebounds. Got 28 minutes in that game. Pretty good game.
Yeah.
Barely lost, which if they won that, I'd say top 5 team right there.
Yeah.
If they ended up winning, so didn't move out of the number 11 spot because they played number 1 and kept it close. So.
Yeah. And they played at South Carolina. So
yeah.
That's good.
Next is the BYU men's basketball team. They're number 18 in the country, 9-1, first in the Big 12. Why don't you give me your research?
All right, so Robinson.
Yes, sir.
Robinson. Averaging 18 points a game. You know, the team is playing great team ball. Shout out to Coach Pope. He's not, even when the team's up by like 10, 15, 20, 30 points, he gets a lot of the other players, he rotates the other players to get their minutes in, to get their experience. And I think that's why the stat sheet is so cool to see. Because you have Robinson at 18 points a game, Johnson 11.6, Waterman has helped us win a lot of games.
Oh yeah.
And you have Nell, 10.8. And the stats aren't even just the case. Like, it's just like, Khalifa, like a transfer from UNC Charlotte. Just different players are just, they're playing like, in my opinion, like traditional BYU team basketball. They don't have a lot of big men, but they can move the ball around.
Until they get Foos back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On Saturday, December 9th, Utah did end up beating the Cougars, 73-69. It was a tough loss, especially as a BYU fan.
Yes.
But good job, Utah. They balled out, man. Utah balled out. They went out and went on like a 12-2 run to start the game. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday, BYU ended up beating Denver 90-74. My player of the game in that game would be Robinson. He balled out that game.
Mm-hmm.
He scored 28 points off the bench. And he got 29 minutes off the bench. Mm-hmm. He got more minutes than any player on the starting lineup. Yeah. So he balls out.
Yeah. That was a good game.
How about you, Toby?
I'm gonna go with Dallin. I think it's Dallin Hall. 11 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. It doesn't say how many minutes he has.
He had 28 minutes. I'm gonna
player of the game of the BYU Utah game. Okay, got you.
Of the Denver game.
Oh, Denver game. Got you. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a game.
I also want to give Waterman a shout out too. He got his first double in his career last night with 26 minutes. He got 20 points and 10 defense rebounds. So he 14 rebounds in all. So he got the double in just defense rebounds. So,
yeah.
Yeah, he definitely balled out. So shout out to Waterman for balling out and helping the team out to go 9-1.
Yeah.
Moving on to Utah men's basketball, 7-2 and first in the Pac-12.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say one of the star players to watch is Carlson. He was going to go to the league. He declared last year and he returned this year, and he's been balling and averaging 17 points a game. Fun player to watch, but explosive player for me to watch is the center Kaida Keita, to see him in person, he's averaging 6.9 rebounds a game. But at that BYU game, he was rebounding, hammering the dunk, he's defensive menace. So they're looking pretty good.
It actually turns out that Utah is ranked 1 in the most height in NCAA basketball.
Okay.
So they got the tallest players in the basketball right now. So they again beat BYU when they were number 14. My player of the game for that one would be a Utah player because we're talking about Utah here. Probably Madison.
Okay.
He scored 17 points, 4 rebounds in all, and 36 minutes.
Yeah. Player of the game for that game is BYU missing free throws.
Yeah.
That's the real player of the game.
Messi is shooting 36, shooting like 10% of 3-pointers. It's so bad.
That's a good game to see as we head to the Big 12 next year. Yeah. That BYU-Utah rivalry.
2 times a year, baby.
That was electric. At the Huntsman Center. Wait till it's at the Marriott.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be even more electric. Student section.
Don't bring your date.
What?
Oh, don't bring your date there. Not a student section. It's gonna be too crazy at the Marriott Center. You're not gonna plan a date when Utah's in town. You're focused on the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was thinking of Quinn.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, because one of your Eddie was saying how he can't bring a date to a BYU Utah game because it's that focused.
Oh yeah, it's
that intense.
Do not bring a date if you're a BYU fan. You have to focus.
My player of the game is gonna be Brandon Clarkson. Oh shoot, where do you go? 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 15 points that game.
Yeah. 32 minutes.
32 minutes.
Yeah, those rebounds are crucial.
Oh yeah, those rebounds were definitely crucial. Next is the BYU women's basketball team.
Okay.
They are 8-2, first in the Big 12. And what do you get research on for them?
All right, so BYU women's basketball. They are playing small ball. Their lead player is I think her name is Laura or Gustin. This was crazy. She's a forward, 16.8 points a game, but over under 10 rebounds. What do you think? Over under a game?
Over.
Okay. What's your over?
Probably she gets like 20 rebounds a game, it feels like. Right?
Okay, so what are you thinking?
Probably like 17 rebounds.
What are you thinking?
18.
Okay, close. 15.5 rebounds a game. So 16.8 points, 15.5 rebounds. She's been balling, but the team, their guards are scoring. They have 2 guards. One's averaging 15.4. Woolston and Whiting is averaging 11.2. So again, maybe it's a BYU thing. They play team ball. Even their bench is averaging some players 7 points a game, 8 points a game, 9 points a game. So great team ball.
Yeah. They beat Boise State 65-50 last game. My player of the game in that game would be Woolston. 30 minutes, 1 defense rebound, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 18 points. Great game by Woolston.
Look at Gustin. She had 18 rebounds.
Yeah.
Like what Toby was saying, 17. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And 11 defensive rebounds. Woo.
Yeah, she balls out. I'm excited to see her in the WNBA.
Yeah. Yeah, might see 2 players. Might see her go to the WNBA and might see the Utah youth starting player go to the WNBA. stats. So, hey, restore the rivalry.
It doesn't show the players of the game for this one where I'm at. I went there, but it didn't show anything. Who's the bottom one? Smiler. 8 points, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 5 assists, and 2 rebounds.
And shout out to Gustin.
Yes.
Double. So that's how you want to play. 34 minutes, 11 defensive rebounds, 8 rebounds in all, 18 rebounds in all, and 16 points.
Yep.
So that's a good way to win a game. Now Utah State women's. They're 3-6 and first in the Mountain West.
Okay.
You can go ahead and tell them.
All right. I would say, Utah State women's. They're not having a great season. They've been playing a lot of tough out of conference teams, and they're in the Mountain West Conference, so they've been playing a lot of tough teams in the Mountain West. Some of these in the Big Sky Conference, but Stubbs is averaging 15.7 points a game, and their guard, both guards actually. So their Stubbs is the guard, another guard, Miller, 5 rebounds a game as a guard, leading the team, and 2.1 assists a game. So clearly, in my opinion, because 2 of the guards are almost the leading rebounders for their team, they have to build up a rebounding, build their own defense.
Yeah.
But they're looking pretty good. The Mountain West has gotten better in basketball, and I feel like they play a lot of really good teams. Boise State has a good women's basketball team.
Physical ball.
Physical ball. And just team chemistry. I was looking at the games that they lost. They're close games. They can get in a game, but some games they got blown out. It's just the aspect of having the team just gel together.
Yeah. The Mountain West Conference suspended 3 after the UNLV Utah State brawl. There was a brawl between the women's teams, and 3 got suspended.
Oh
wow.
Women team brawl. Okay.
Don't hear that often. They ended up losing. When was UNLV? The frick? It doesn't show up on here.
That's a conference game. Yeah. UNLV.
This is.
7 years ago.
Yeah, why are you showing that now?
Maybe the teams is that irrelevant to ESPN. I don't know. 7 years ago?
Yeah, this is 7 years ago.
They need more highlights. They need more highlights.
Okay, so they lost to Utah Valley 68-38. Lost by freaking 30 points.
Hey.
More than Toby.
Shout out to Utah County.
Yes.
UVU.
Freaking Toby lost by more, 60-something.
Okay, buddy.
Who's your player of the game?
Definitely not my team. Stubbs with 12 points, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, and that's pretty much it. 30 minutes.
The team did not look good that game. Smith would be my player of the game with 5 points. That's it.
Not really much of stats.
Yeah, no. And now we're moving on to the Utah State men's, last team of the basketball segment. They are 10-1, first in the Mountain West. What's your research?
Also board, 18 points. So they're forward. Also board, 18.5 points a game, 9.2 rebounds a game. But he's their leading rebounder. But their team balanced ball, and you said that they're 10-1.
Yeah.
So they're the number 1 in the Mountain West. So they're looking good because they're top 5 players are all scoring 10 points or more.
Yeah.
So team ball, they have a solid forward who rebounds, can score, go hard in the paint. So they're looking really good. I think they're going to be a threat in the Mountain West, and they're going to give San Diego State a run for their money. Another iconic basketball school program. It'd be cool to see. I would love to see Utah State, do some damage, this year in the tournament.
On Saturday, December 9th, Utah State won versus Northwest Nazarene, 84-53. And then on Wednesday, December 13th, they were at Santa Clara and won 84-82. My player of the game that game, he knows I'm about to steal his.
Who is it?
It's gonna be Martinez with 28 points. 3 steals, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, all 4 were defensive, and 35 minutes.
Dang, look, they won by 2. It was basically tied the whole game. They tied the first half, tied the second half, and then they won by 2. Wow, that's okay. All right.
Yeah, it looks good. If you want to pick a player of the game, you can too.
Well,
but you can.
Looking at the stats, I would say my player of the game, I got to go to the coaching staff. To beat a team by 2 points, and it's just you're just chasing or just copying baskets, to get in the game, trading baskets for them to win by 2. At Santa Clara, that's a big win.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Tony?
I'm going to go with Brown, 23 points, 4 steals, 4 steals, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and then 34 points.
You mean 34 minutes?
Yeah, 34 minutes.
Hey, the minutes matter.
Yeah. Yeah, so they balled out they are on a big winning streak. So that's it for the basketball segment. We'll move on to the advice segment now. Let's start with Joey's advice.
Okay. All right, let's go.
You can go ahead first.
So which team?
Oh, it's the advice segment.
Oh, no, for what? For just in general, or just like the
Just
teams?
any advice.
Yeah, no.
Oh, advice. I would say advice would be everyone. Stay positive. Be a team player. Play team ball. And play all 4 quarters. Sometimes you might get to overtime, but still put in your best efforts. So, what's your advice?
Mine's don't make assumptions. If you know that if you don't know the situation fully, you can't offer an informed opinion. Like you're just being a nicest word, con-headed ninny muggin.
Yeah.
If you're trying to, if you're trying to go in there and just like throw in your input, but you don't know what's actually going on, like people are gonna look down at you and be like, he's just trying to be involved in something that he does not need to be involved into. And so it's kind of like a toxic trait if you do that. Like people will look down like he could be a toxic person, she could be a toxic person.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't make assumptions. It makes a
donkey out of you.
Yes, and a donkey out of you.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Toby?
Just stay forward and stay positive, and don't let anyone try to build down their confidence.
Oh gosh.
So good. Okay, so next would have been the soccer segment, but soccer season's over for everyone.
But we can talk about that BYU team, right?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, I told you researchers, so you can go ahead and talk about what's research.
They lost. They lost in the
Final Four.
Final Four against Stanford. Is it Stanford?
Yeah, it was Stanford.
Stanford. But now the crazy thing about it is, in a good way, that they finished 23-3.
Oh yeah.
But 7 wins and 3 ties in the conference. So basically, they did this great in their first year being in the Big 12 conference.
Yeah.
Like to make it to the Final Four, right? Final Four. After losing to Texas in the conference championship, and to still do good, that's great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was exciting to watch. Just I won football. What's the football game? One of the basketball games. BYU Fresno State. Someone had their phone. They were watching the women's game while watching the basketball game. And same thing happened when BYU football game West Virginia versus the Mountaineers. But they had the game on. They had the women's soccer game on. I've never seen this sort of excitement in women's soccer. But I mean, it's huge. But it's just crazy. Wow, it's our first year in the Big 12. People are excited and they did well. Shout out to the girls.
Yeah. Go Cougs, baby. Yeah. So that's all for the soccer segment. Random fact time. Let's start with Toby this time.
Yay. Where did he go? It was just here. Oh, your brain is constantly eating itself. I'm guessing just of how much things you can take in all at once in one day. I don't know how that would be possible.
Yeah.
So someday our brains will disappear.
Yeah.
How about your random fact, Joe?
My random fact is this. The world's largest desert is not a sandy one. It's Antarctica.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's weird.
I'm thinking a desert in Africa or in Asia. I'm thinking, but Antarctica, well, it is. Utah's a big desert. Part of it's cold, part of it's not cold, but Antarctica, it's a big desert.
Yeah. Mine is, it is illegal to climb trees in Oshawa, a town in Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, that's weird.
Weren't we going to plan on doing that, though?
Yes.
Let's go. Make a trip.
Make a trip.
Yeah, we were going to, and we're still going to, and then we're going to run.
There you go.
Hit and run. Alright, and baseball segment, I didn't have even researched anything because it's been over before we started the podcast, so.
Sweet.
So we're down to the quote segment.
Oh.
Okay.
I'll start this one.
Tell me the quote. The quilt. Oh, quote. Got you. Oh, he's got a quote for us? Okay.
The greatest wealth is to live content with little. Plato.
Plato, yeah. Okay. There you go. What does that quote mean to you?
Just that people think that money is the wealth of the world. Yes, money is needed for everything, but you can live with not being the wealthiest guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
But to live with just a little money and it's just you can make it through life without having to rely on all the money and stuff. So.
Amen.
Toby.
With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Facts. What's it mean to you?
When you learn new things, new strengths come to your mind, and you can believe in yourself and do more things you probably have never done before.
Okay. How about you, Joey?
Mine is a Japanese proverb: fall down 7, rise up 8. So every time you fall down, you get beat down. It's only gonna make you stronger to rise up. Get better at it. Have that tenacity. So that's one thing.
Yeah. that's definitely good.
My other quote was gonna be this: "Our kitchen. If I had to stir it, it's homemade."
Oh my.
I
was like, wait, where'd you get that? Look up there.
All right, and now we're moving on to the hockey segment. We have one team in hockey. There is rumors that Utah is getting an NHL team now.
Yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
did not know that.
So we got the Utah Grizzlies right now. They're 8-12, 59 goals scored, 65 goals scored against. You can go ahead and give your research.
Yeah, I would say the Utah Grizzlies, they're in a rebuilding stage right now. Let me see. One thing I researched about them, that they have a lot of players that their previous team, you know, a few years ago when they made it to the championship game, they're in the playoffs. A lot of those players got picked up, you know, to the Avalanche or other teams. You know, they just it's a great farming team.
Yeah.
The Utah Grizzlies. So I think right now they're in a rebuilding phase because of their previous success.
Yeah.
You know. But they have to win some of these games against, you know, their rival game. You know, the Idaho Steelheads. You know, they take them on the 23rd. You know, that's always a big game. You know, because they always have a back-to-back game where one's in Boise and one's in Salt Lake. So if Utah can win those two games back-to-back, that's gonna boost the morale for the team, because doesn't matter how good Idaho Steelheads are doing. Like, they're a great hockey team, but that rivalry is like Utah BYU. Like, didn't matter if BYU would have won. If Utah beat BYU, they're pumped up. They have this hope, this faith. Didn't matter what their ranking was, but yeah, I think for Utah Grizzlies, if they beat the Steelheads twice back to back, that's gonna help boost their. Right, now, how are we gonna do 2024? How are we gonna end the year strong? Because their record, they're still in it.
Yeah.
They just gotta do great in their division.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
and beating the heavy hitters, that's what they gotta do.
Yeah. Since the last podcast episode, they lost to the Allen Nationals 5-3. Beat the Allen Nationals 7-3. And then lost to Cincinnati Cyclones 2-5. And the games ahead are against the Fort Wayne Comets, the 15th and 16th and 17th. And that's all the games before the next podcast. So, very good game against the Cyclones. They scored 3 goals.
I mean, they're looking like they have it. Looking at the standings in the ECHL Western Division, you know, the Steelheads are number 1. You know, 18 wins, 4 losses. Kansas City 17 wins, 6 losses. Tulsa 12-7, but their 4th team, you know, Wichita is 9-12. I'm not sure what this RC team is. RC team is 9-11, and Utah's 8-12. If they can get at least 1 win against the number 1 team, that'll be good. That'll be good.
My favorite game is actually a guy that didn't score a goal.
Okay.
He got 2 assists. Brett Stapley.
Okay.
How about you, Tobe?
I can't seem to find this is overall. I can't seem to find. Okay, you're moving way too fast, buddy. Kyle Mayhew, number 6.
Alright, he got 1 goal, and that's about all the stats he had. Hopefully they can bounce back and win this next 3 games. Yeah. Now we're moving on to the joke of the day. Let's start with Joey.
Ooh, okay. Joke of the day. Well, you already made the best joke of the day. You know what assumptions do. You know. But I would say the joke of the day is. I had a joke, but it was a bad joke. It's like, it's roasting sports. You know, so it's like joke of the day is like the in playing the preseason tournament. That was the biggest joke. It didn't do anything in the NBA.
The in-season tournament.
Yeah, that was the biggest joke in terms of like all this hype. Oh my gosh, this tournament! Yeah. And then the first game is what you probably watched them. You were involved, and after that, what? You probably didn't care about who won.
Yeah.
You know, that was a huge joke to me. Huge joke. But it's not funny. It's just, hey, in the sports world, I thought it was a joke. And then LeBron won. So.
Hey, LeBron's first time to do something.
I know, right?
Yeah. But
mine's, why don't pirates take a shower before they walk the plank?
why?
They just wash up on shore.
Mm.
Okay. How about you, Bobby?
Mine was, why was Cinderella so bad at soccer?
Why?
She kept running away from the ball.
So, here's my joke then.
Okay.
What do you get from a pampered cow?
What?
Spoiled milk.
Yes. Before we start the football segment, shout out to Zach Wilson, AFC Player of the Week.
Yes.
BYU native right there.
Shout out to Draper.
Yes, sir. Zach Wilson balling out after the whole thing going on about after he got benched and got told that he's going to get traded away after the season.
Yeah.
And so he's going to ball out and prove how good he can be so he can go to a team that actually has an O-line.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to remind you about the dates of the Utah football and the Utah State game because they haven't happened for bowl games. Northwestern at 12 on the 23rd of December, and that was Utah Ute, and Utah State's also 23rd of December.
Yep. And they're playing in Idaho State Potato Bowl against Georgia State.
Yeah. And what did you have any research you had for football players? Any football teams?
Football teams, as in those teams that are playing?
Yeah.
For the bowl games?
Just research of them.
Oh.
It doesn't matter if you know or not.
No, I just looked at the bowl games. Yeah, so Utah, they're going to the Las Vegas Bowl.
Okay. Allegiant Stadium.
Allegiant Stadium. Utah State, they're going to the Idaho Potato Bowl at Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho, and BYU's at home.
Let's go!
Yeah, they are at home right now.
Oh.
It's called the Potato Chips Bowl.
Eating potato chips while watching Utah kick some Northwestern booty.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and the last segment of the thing today is the short story segment.
Okay.
I'll go first. Mine's called All the Fish.
All the fish.
I went to this girl's party the week after she beat the shiz out of my girlfriend. Out of my friend. While everyone was getting trashed, I went around putting tuna inside all the curtain rods, and so weeks went by and they couldn't figure out why the house smelled like festering death. They caught me through this video where these guys at the party were singing Beyonce while I was in the background with a can of tuna.
Really?
Yep, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's a real short story.
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm sure it's real. That'd be funny if it was real.
Man.
I swore and I didn't know. And so I had to hurry and say shiz because I almost swore.
Oh man.
I was about to be like, Pizza. Alright, Toby, what's your short story?
Mine's called The Office Prank War.
Ooh.
In a corporate office where the work was serious, a lighthearted prank war broke out between two colleagues, Alex and Lisa. It started in... Wow. Having a hard time with that word. Enough with Alex placing a rubber snake on Lisa's chair. Lisa retaliated by plastering sticky notes all over Alex's cubicle. The pranks escalated rapidly, with each one trying to outwit and outdo the other. Fake spiders, whoopee cushions, and disappearing ink pens became the normal in the office. Soon the entire office was caught up in the shenanigans, with laughter echoing through the hallways. The war eventually reached a climax when the colleagues joined forces and transformed the boss's office into a jungle, complete with hanging vines and giant inflatable gorillas. The boss couldn't help but chuckle and even admit that it was the most creative distribution he had ever seen. The prank war ended that day, but the something and inside jokes among the colleagues continued to brighten their work environment for years to come.
The what? Camaraderie? Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Oh, camaraderie.
Oh.
With the camaraderie and inside jokes. Okay.
I got close. I said camaraderie. Alright, and Joey?
Alright, we may have gotten it from the same page, but mine's called, I hope it's G-rated. Mine's called Drama at the Drama Class. One time my drama class's teacher had gone home sick, so we were just put in a class with a movie to entertain us for a period of time when the alarm went off. None of us were sure if it was a fire alarm or the lockdown alarm. So we all head out onto the hall to check, and no one's out there. So we head back in and climb under our desks as it's lockdown procedure. Cut to an hour or so later when the teacher bursts in and nearly dies of relief because the school was on fire. We were the only ones not accounted for, and half of the faculty and fire department had been searching for us for ages. Literally the whole school was filled with smoke while we kept super safe under our wooden desks. Dang. Teacher bailed out on him.
Teacher's like, sorry.
Alright, man. Great story.
Alright, so that's our segments today. Thank you, Joey, for coming today.
Thank you. We have 4 guests here. One other guest. What's the name of this?
Sir.
What's the name?
Squishy.
Squishy the crab, everybody.
Stay tuned for next week, the Christmas special, because we're not having one Christmas week. So
presents will be given out.
Presents will be given out.
Okay.
And we might or might not be wearing Santa hats.
Oh, okay.
Might not. All right.
Okay. Yeah, and make sure to follow us on Spotify or whatever you're listening on or watching on. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
Sweet.
Awesome.